The consequences of a bad diet in children include serious illness with permanent and devastating results. But we know it's hard to change kids, and sometimes even harder to change parents. Dr. Carissa Doherty says that the right diet can transform a kid in just 2 weeks. So stick around, we're going to show you how. Dr. Carissa Doherty says that the right diet can transform a kid in just 2 weeks, and she's here today to share her insight and experience in treating kids and the parents who enable them. Welcome to Nutramedica, Dr. Doherty. How are you feeling today?
I'm well. How are you? Thanks for having me, Brian.
I'm very well. So let's get right into it. Now, you have helped transform the lives of countless children and their families. And that must be, tremendously satisfying. So how did you get into, what drew you to your role in family nutrition?
So I have a general practice, but I do specialize in chronic infection. I do see mostly adults. I have a general practice with kids, but my colleagues actually see severe ADHD and severe autism. So what I get to see, passing in the halls is these kids that are nonverbal, aggressive, behavior is horrid. And when my colleagues put them on a restrictive diet, within 2 to 4 weeks, my staff can actually tell if that child comes in a month to 2 months, if the child is on the diet or not. So we actually get a call and say, just so you know, the patient's not on the diet. Okay. How do you know? I can tell. Okay. So we've been able to sort of be involved with, again, these more aggressive cases, these medically important cases, and we see change happen pretty predictably. 40 to 60% of the time, we can see change happening with brain chemistry.
Wow.
So it's been nice. So anyway, the long story is what my colleagues tend to say, and I'll say it too, is that, sometimes food can act like a drug, and sometimes these drugs are not good for kids' brains. So if, we don't want our kids to do heroin, we don't want our kids to do, crack, not good for the brain, but sugar can sometimes act like that in the brain. And if you want to change your kids' output or what they have an impact on their overall life, taking that out of the body and the brain is hard. But they don't actually buy food. They don't have a job. They don't cook. The responsibility of what goes into their system oftentimes is the parents. So when we see or hear complaints like they're a picky eater, or they won't do that, or they won't, we don't hear hard, but we hear they don't like it. We do know that there's pushback because kids are very good at manipulating parents. It's their specialty. They're professionals at parent studying. And it is hard to do, but we almost always find with parents commit to an aggressive change and do it 100%, the compliance happens within days, and you can see physical changes in the child within 2 weeks. And it's predictable in our clinic. So we've been blessed with seeing it. We see it on a regular basis. And I think the hard part is when the parents balk at it, the idea of it. It could be hope that they're not really to commit to it. And it is hard and it does suck. It does, but you're feeding your child on a regular basis anyway. You're caring for your child. It is different. There's a change in routine, but it's not actually hard. It's hard emotionally.
Right. So, I'd really appreciate you sharing that with us because, the clinicians that are watching, they are faced with parents and kids every day, and they're looking for a way to make it work. So the years of experience that you have makes a huge difference, I'm sure, to everyone watching. So, okay, I understand now that we're telling the parents exactly what the kids are going to eat. What happens when the kids won't eat it?
So everyone worries about this, and it's a big worry. It's a big concern, but it's also rarely happens. So in practice, we rarely see it. And if we do see it, we want to medically work up why that would happen. But when the parents come back to me and say, it's been 3 days and my child hasn't eaten, which we tell all parents, if your child doesn't eat, you have to report back to us right away. Right. Sometimes we get feedback, but oftentimes the feedback is all they would have is fruit and vegetables. That's okay. That's food. Right. Those are food. Those are actual great foods. They didn't have dinner. That's okay. We just want them to eat. There may be a transition, and transitioning onto it's hard. Please don't give up my coffee. I'm going to have a terrible headache. Like, I don't want it to be gone. That transition is going to take time. But we do feel, and we're medical professionals, so we do want to monitor our patients, but we do feel most times it will happen within a couple of days, and it's more the parents' concern about it being medically unsafe than reality.
Right. Because I'm guessing that, for parents, one of the ways they show love is by feeding their kids, especially, they love to see their kids chow down at the table and really enjoy their food. So when the kid announces that they're not having any of this fruit and vegetable business, that strikes them right in the heart, doesn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, kids say no to be defiant. They say no to develop their personality. That those things are a part of human development, which is good. But the food is synthetic. It acts like heroin in the brain, and it's not necessarily for overall growth. We don't need synthetic food for growth. So, and in fact, it can harm our kids in a huge way. They're super small kids. They don't need a lot of processed food. It doesn't have to be a physical amount. You put a little bit of processed food in a little body, it's going to make a huge impact.
I hope you enjoyed that highlight from a recent program on Nutramedica. If you want to get access to our full-length shows and live interactive events, you'll need to register as a healthcare professional at Nutramedica.org. To stay up to date with our latest programs, go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. We'll see you soon at Nutramedica.org.